Mention the word yoga, and for many of us, images of physical positions that should only ever be attempted by a double-jointed contortionist may well spring to mind. However, for an increasing number of people, the wonderful life-affirming benefits of yoga are regularly being enjoyed, and with classes rapidly growing, quite literally nationwide, the good news is most definitely travelling fast. There are few pastimes better placed to provide an antidote to the stresses and tensions of the 21st century, and as you can see for yourself, when it comes to developing a oneness with nature, yoga really can make the world seem a much nicer place to live in. As you watch this beautiful series of yoga exercises called the Salute to the Sun, this may all sound sensational in principle, but if you've never so much as taken an exercise class before, you could well be wondering how this can possibly be described as easy yoga. But all is about to be revealed, because when you break the Salute to the Sun down into its component parts, nothing is actually taxing at all, and with a little practice is very achievable. Nevertheless, like all good things, you will need to apply yourself to learning the basics first. And this is precisely what we'll now do as we join a typical yoga class, which will, as the title of this program promises, be easy to follow. However, before we go any further, there is just one note of caution. As with any exercise plan, you do need to consider the health implications, and should you be in any doubt whatsoever about whether yoga is suitable for you, then please consult your GP. Also, what you are about to see is intended as an introduction to yoga, so that you know what to expect if you decide to try it for yourself. And it cannot be stressed enough that finding a suitably qualified instructor is always to be advised. And this really is the best place to start, finding the right person to teach you who has recognised training in yoga. There are many types of yoga, and it can be something of a metaphorical jungle out there to find the right one for you. From Ashtanga and Kundalini yoga to Iyengar, Bikram and Scaravelli, there's a huge range of classes available, and making choices can be, to say the very least, a daunting task. As a beginner, the best thing to do is research the classes that are near work or home. Find an appropriate time for you to attend and see how you get on. Most yoga instructors suggest a free trial class before you pay for a full course, and it's really worth taking advantage of this, as it's a great opportunity to try out the type of yoga on offer before you commit. Claudia Weston is an experienced yoga instructor who has been practicing her craft for more than 18 years. After attending classes herself and experiencing firsthand the joys of yoga, she was inspired to train to teach her own classes, and now instructs children and adults in the tradition of Scaravelli yoga. Claudia is a firm believer that yoga can be beneficial for everyone. It can bring a feeling of well-being to a person, balancing the emotions and bringing vitality to the body. Anyone can do yoga. It's really not about how flexible you are, and with practice, that can always come later. What it is about, though, is working with your body to your own capabilities. If, however, you're still a little apprehensive about going to a class, this program will give you a taste of what you can expect, and all from the comfort of your own home. As well as finding a good teacher, it will also help to know a little about the origins of yoga and the philosophy behind it, because the mind is equally as important as the body. The first references to yoga can be found in the ancient Sanskrit text, the Vedas, dating back to India in about 200 BC. It was described as a practice that calmed the mind, with the word yoga actually meaning to join, which in this case refers to uniting the mind with the body and spirit. Over time, yoga developed, teaching devotees how to concentrate and focus the mind, improving muscle tone with stretching exercises and releasing tension so that natural balance and harmony could be restored. And as what you are about to see will prove, these principles have been passed down through the ages to give the dwellers of the 21st century a valuable technique rooted in ancient traditions that can offer a real solution to the problems created by a fast and furious, stressful way of life. Today, Claudia has been joined by Lucy and Katie to demonstrate a typical class. Katie has actually been practicing yoga for some time, but Lucy is a complete novice. At the beginning of a session, your instructor will always advise that anyone with health issues, even those recovering from illness or injury, should first consult their GP before taking yoga classes, and the same precaution also applies to anyone who is pregnant. One of the great advantages of taking up yoga is the fact that you don't have to dash out and buy expensive clothing and equipment to get started. So long as you wear comfortable, loose clothing that you can have freedom of movement in, you'll be fine. And yoga is usually practiced barefoot, but if it's cold, you can keep your socks on or have a pair handy for the winding down positions at the end of the class, when you won't be moving at all. You'll also notice that Claudia, Lucy and Katie are using mats, which is a great way of making sure of a good grip for some of the movements, and cushions, towels and blankets are ready to hand, as they will make things more comfortable in certain positions. Yoga instructors will generally give advice on when you should eat before a class, as some people can feel quite uncomfortable if they mistime their meals. Most recommend not eating a large meal up to 2 hours before a class, while others suggest 4 hours, although a snack a couple of hours beforehand should be fine, with fruit and nuts being an ideal option. And that really is all anyone starting yoga needs to know. So without further ado, let's join Claudia, Lucy and Katie to see what happens next. Like the majority of yoga instructors, Claudia begins her lesson with a resting position that will give everyone a moment to prepare for the class. The little boat position that you see here is called Supta Vrasana in Sanskrit and stretches and relaxes the spine, lower back and hips. When beginning a session of yoga, it's really important to warm the body up so limbs, tendons and muscles aren't injured, and the little boat position is a great posture for this. To get into this position, the students need to lie flat on their backs with their knees bent and feet hip width apart. They need to then bring up the knees close to the chest and press the lower back to the floor, keeping the hands above the knees. Arms and shoulders should be relaxed in this position, and your head should be on the floor so you're facing upwards. Hold the pose for about 2 minutes to allow energy to flow through the limbs. Although yoga is an incredible exercise for the body, it's also important to remember the wonderful benefits to the mind. It has a wonderfully calming effect and provides an escape from the rush and stress of everyday life, eliminating negative feelings and creating a great sense of well-being. Yoga's founding father, Patanjali, believed that physical problems created emotional problems and saw these stretching and breathing exercises as a way of tackling both. After holding the pose, slowly release the knees and the feet so they rest back on the floor, and rest the arms either side of the body. This pose is Savasana, which means the corpse posture. This position will help everyone to breathe freely and is a good way to begin the class, providing a few minutes of relaxation so that the body can recharge and begin yoga refreshed. As you exhale slowly, all tension is released from the facial muscles, the skin, ears, nose, tongue and eyes. The more the organs of perception are relaxed, the more the brain, usually in constant communication, becomes empty and all thoughts are stilled. You'd be surprised how few people actually breathe properly, breathing shallowly through the mouth, so only the tops of the lungs are filled with oxygen. But if you breathe deeply so that the diaphragm moves up, oxygen can reach the bloodstream far more efficiently, bringing life and energy to every cell in the body. You should never hold your breath during a pose, but inhale and exhale freely, breathing upwards from the diaphragm and out through the nose. Make sure you relax all parts of your body in Savasana, from the arms to the jaw. To come out of the pose, roll over onto your side for a few breaths and slowly come back into contact with your surroundings. Once you've come out of the Savasana pose, relaxed and refreshed, you'll be ready to bring the body back to life with the cat pose, which is also known as Bidalasana. After moving into position on all fours, you'll see a circling of the tailbone begin. Make sure the knees are directly underneath the hips and the heels of the hands are directly underneath each shoulder. Spread the fingers wide and lengthen the thumbs in towards each other. With your tailbone at the base of the spine, imagine you are drawing big circles behind you. Circle to the left and then to the right. This movement is really good for warming up the lower spine. The next position is another version of the cat pose, which allows your wrists to rest. Slide one arm under the other until the shoulder and the side of the face come into contact with the floor. Then repeat with the other arm. This position lengthens the side of the body and gives a subtle rotation of the spine, helping prepare for stronger rotations later in the lesson. After resting the wrists, you can go back into the cat position for cat arches. The breathing is again very important, arching up strongly on the out breath and breathing in on a gentle downward arch. As well as making you feel absolutely fantastic, the cat pose is of great benefit to our health, stimulating spinal fluid and the digestive tract and improving circulation through the spine and core. It reduces stiffness in the neck and shoulder and relaxes the nerves when you're stressed, and as you can see for yourself, is nowhere near as taxing as it might have sounded. And of course, like so many wonderful yoga positions, is very aptly named indeed. Moving on, it's now time to sit in a kneeling position with the toes together and gently shake the wrists before rotating them clockwise and anti-clockwise. When the wrists are relaxed, you can see how to gently massage the jaw. It's amazing just how much tension builds up in the jaw during the course of a day, and this is an area that can really benefit from repeating whenever you feel the stress levels rising. Next, we can move on to the neck and head. Gently pull the head to the right with the left hand and then to the left. Keeping your head upright, turn it all the way to the right and then back to the centre before turning all the way to the left. Next, drop your head forward and roll it around in as wide a circle as possible. Nearly all of us will hold tension in our necks and shoulders, leading to stiffness, bad posture and stress-related headaches. These exercises will really ease the tension and increase flexibility, as well as toning the muscles. This can then be repeated in the opposite direction, then gently move the chin towards the chest before returning to the original position. Staying in the same position, roll the shoulders forwards and then backwards. The kneeling position you've been looking at for these warm-up exercises is called Vajrasana, and is in itself a great exercise for releasing tension. And on that very positive note, we've now fully warmed up and are ready to move on to our next set of postures. Place your hands on the ground in front of you so that you are on all fours. Make sure that the heels of your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. And on an out breath, raise your pelvis into the air, lengthening away with your tailbone. The trick here is to remember to keep your knees a little bent, and then you can get into the wake up the dog posture with some gentle warm-up movements. This can be by bending one knee more than the other, coming up onto the balls of the feet, or bending the elbows. Anything, in fact, that feels good to do. The dog posture, or Adho Mukha Svanasana, which gently stimulates your nervous system, will rejuvenate the whole body while helping to strengthen the legs and restore energy levels, which makes it the perfect exercise to try when you're worn out after a long, hard day. After completing the downward facing dog, come back onto all fours and then into a kneeling position. From this point, you can easily move into what's known as the child's pose. This is a great resting position if you're ever feeling tired during a class. All you need to do is rest the forehead on the ground. Relax the neck, face and shoulders with arms lengthened out in front of you. This pose is also great for relieving headaches too. If you prefer, it's perfectly acceptable to use towels or cushions in order to make the position more comfortable. A towel can be rolled up and put under the front of the ankles, taking the pressure off the knees, while a cushion can be placed under the head to ease any discomfort you might feel in the back. You can vary the child's pose by resting the head on the forearms or bringing the arms back alongside the thighs. Whichever feels more comfortable for each individual is absolutely fine. Once rested, a simple push down on the palms to lift yourself back into the dog pose, and then you can bend your knees a little more and walk your hands towards your feet. You can then either rest your hands on the floor or simply allow them to hang. You are now in Uttanasana with bent knees, which will give the spine a really good stretch. In Sanskrit, Ut means intense and Tana means stretch, so you really are left in no doubt as to what this position is all about. After a few moments, bend the knees a little more, and as you breathe out, curl the body up into what's known as mountain pose or Tadasana. Simply standing may seem a strange exercise, but few people actually manage to balance perfectly on both legs, and this often leads to bad posture. Stand with your heels in line so that you have the outside edges of your feet parallel to each other. Imagine that your feet are rooted to the ground, feeling that the legs are solid and strong, fully engaging the thigh muscles. The knee joints are strong but not locked tight, and your arms can hang relaxed at either side of the body. Keep the head and spine in a straight line and lengthen the back of the neck. Imagine that your tailbone at the base of the spine is lengthening down, and remember to keep breathing normally. Bringing the body into alignment might seem hard work, but it's very beneficial as the arteries are stretched, increasing the blood supply to the lower limbs, while also countering aging in the spine, legs and feet. You can then take a step back with your right foot. Move one arm round to the back and then the other. Hold the right wrist and rest the hands on the sacrum at the back of the pelvis. Breathe in. Rotate slowly to the right towards the back foot and raise the arms and turn to the left. Before repeating on the other side, stepping back with the left foot. This pose is Trikonasana, the triangle pose, and helps tone the ligaments as well as improving flexibility in the hips and spine. Finally, after a step back into Tadasana, stretch your whole body to the ceiling, bringing your arms up above you. Breathe out and bend forward. More experienced yoga practitioners can keep the legs straight as they bend, but beginners can always bend the knees if that feels more comfortable. It's now time to allow the upper body to release and breathe evenly. To come out of Uttanasana, take a breath in to prepare, and on an exhalation, lengthen back up. And this wonderful position should have had a rejuvenating effect on the spinal nerves and brain cells, bringing energy to mind and body. The next postures that you are going to see are Virabhadrasana 1 and 2, named after the mythic warrior sage Virabhadra, and fortunately are more straightforward to perform than say, so perhaps we'll settle for the alternative name, the warrior pose. Starting in Tadasana, the mountain pose, you need to take a large step to the right. Make sure that the outside edges of your feet are parallel to each other and bend one knee and then the other. This is wide leg pose and a good starting point to begin the warrior postures. Turn your right toes 90 degrees to the right and bend the right knee, making sure that it rests directly above the ankle. Raise the arms out to the sides with the fingers outstretched and palms facing down. Look directly past the right fingertips. This posture expands the chest and so helps breathing capacity. It's also a fantastic posture for relieving discomfort in the lower back and can even help reduce fat around the hips. Then simply return to wide leg pose and do the same on the other side. Moving on to the second warrior pose, it has a huge range of benefits, including helping to relieve indigestion, soothing backache, toning the abdominal muscles, and increasing the flexibility of the knees and thighs. After standing in the mountain pose, you need to take a large step to the left and back into wide leg pose. Bend one knee and then the other before breathing out and turning your right foot as well as the whole of your torso to the right. Bend the right knee directly over the right ankle, creating a right angle between calf and thigh, then raise both arms above the head. Bring the palms together. Lengthen upwards with your upper body, but feel your feet strongly connected to the ground. You can lengthen your fingertips here and bring your gaze upwards while remembering to breathe evenly. Then do the same with the right leg stretched out behind and the left knee bent. To come out of the pose, drop the arms and turn back into the wide leg pose. It's important to remember to keep the knee directly above the foot in this posture without losing the stretch in the leg behind. But you'll certainly find that the more you practice, the easier it will become. From the warrior pose, it's back into wide leg before stepping into the mountain pose or Tadasana, remembering to keep the outside edges of the feet parallel to each other, and then you can see Tadasana with Gomukhasana arms practiced. First, it's a case of raising your left arm upwards bent at the elbow and placing the palm of the hand on the spine. Then lower the right arm. Bend the elbow and place the back of this hand on your spine. If your fingers touch easily, link them. Otherwise, just have the hands on the spine and see if you can feel your spine move as you breathe. It's really important that you don't force your arms together, and if you're not comfy, it's much better to softly relax your arms into the posture. Then this can be repeated on the other side, lifting the other arm. As a beginner, you may find that you can't link the fingers on one or both sides, but with practice you'll become more flexible and be able to do the more advanced position. This pose opens up the chest, helping breathing, and can alleviate sciatic pain, as well as helping people with depression. It's also really beneficial for anyone suffering from arthritis in the fingers, wrists, elbows and shoulders. Once the position has been held for a few breaths, release the arms and shake them out. After this posture, raise your arms and curl down into Uttanasana, keeping your knees bent. Place your palms on the ground and walk your hands into the dog posture. As long as you don't have back problems, you can now straighten the legs. And having returned to the dog posture, don't forget that it's great for reducing stiffness in the shoulder blades, strengthening the legs, ankles and even toning the muscles. Then relax back into the child pose. As before, rest your body over your thighs and place your head on the floor or on your folded forearms for a wonderful rest after stretching the body in the dog posture. When practicing yoga, it's always important to remember not to overstrain and listen to your body. If you feel tired, it's time to rest. Moving out of the child pose into the staff pose, or Dadasana in Sanskrit, which is the basic sitting posture in yoga, straighten your legs out in front with the feet about hip width apart. Place your palms on the floor beside your hips, lengthen upwards with the upper body and straighten your arms. Now try the posture with the hands resting on your thighs. This pose is good for relieving breathlessness as it creates more space in the diaphragm as you stretch upwards. It's also a good way to begin warming up other parts of the body, and you can bend the right leg out to the side and rock it, then circle the knee gently to warm up the hip for the next posture. Be sure to repeat this with the other leg, first rocking and then circling gently. Pull both knees up towards you and hold the soles of the feet together. Relax your knees towards the floor, but don't worry if they don't reach it. The most important thing here is to focus on releasing the hips. This pose is called Badhakonasana, and if you have time to practice this regularly, it can be a wonderful relief if you're suffering from arthritis of the hip and knee joints. In fact, you can practice this any time of day, and this is one yoga pose you can even use straight after a meal. Now bring the knees up again and lengthen away with your heels. Imagine the upper body growing taller. This pose is the Upavista Konasana and is a great exercise for stretching out the back as you lengthen the spine, turning the upper body to the right. Then fold the body over the right leg and stay in this position for up to 30 seconds to really benefit from the stretching. As you become more flexible, you'll be able to stretch further. Slowly bring the body up and do the same over your left leg, remembering to breathe, releasing tension while you're in the posture. Now place the right hand on the inside of the right leg and look up, raising the left arm towards the sky. Breathe in the position before repeating on the other side, then place the left hand on the inside of the left leg and raise the right arm. This position stretches the entire back of the body and the inside of the legs and is really good for opening up the hips and increasing flexibility. Pull the legs together and lie back to rest in the little boat pose again, lifting the knees up towards the chest, from where you can move into another pose that is also renowned for being a great way of reducing fat on the hips. Staying in little boat, place your left forearm underneath your knees. Let the knees go towards the left side and go as far as is comfortable, keeping both shoulders in contact with the ground. Stretch the other arm out to the side, turn your head to the right and breathe in the position. Let your knees fall down to the right so your legs reach the floor and stretch out the right arm. You should be able to feel a wonderful stretch along the side of the body. This is a great asana for those of you who spend most of the day in front of the computer. Sitting in an office all day long can be really bad for the posture, and the natural twist in action to the spine, which this position provides, can be really helpful in redressing the problem. Breathe out and bring the legs and head back to the centre, returning to the little boat pose. Repeat on the other side, this time placing the right forearm underneath the knees and bringing the knees to the left. The head should now be looking right. You can repeat this posture for up to 10 times on each side to really benefit, and it can be a terrific stretch for anyone who has had a really long day in front of that computer. Bring the knees back up into little boat and rest for a few moments in the corpse pose with knees bent and arms resting at the sides. Relax your body completely. Push the feet into the ground, and with the arms alongside the body, your palms can be up or down. Raise your pelvis upwards. This pose helps send a fresh supply of blood to refresh the brain, and after a yoga class helps to rest and revitalise the mind and the body. This is called the little bridge posture. Slowly rest the pelvis on the ground and pull the knees back into the little boat posture. Finally, relax in Savasana. This is always a good pose to finish your yoga session. Lying on your back, open your legs a little so the feet are apart. Keep your arms to the side of the body and move them away from the torso with palms facing up. Relax every part of the body, and if you become distracted or agitated, remember to unwind and let go totally. Be careful not to fall asleep or go off into dreamland. Stay focused on the present. Take several deep breaths. Allow your body to sink towards the floor and concentrate on relaxing each limb and muscle. Begin with the feet, imagining the skin relaxing, then move up to the calves, thighs, torso, arms, and finally the face and the head. Make sure the jaw and tongue are relaxed. Let the front of your shoulders open. Release the pelvis. Give in to gravity just a little more and really release and let go. Feel yourself growing broader and more in contact with the floor. Allow your breath to flow, noticing when you are breathing in and when you're breathing out. This will allow your body to integrate and assimilate what you have just practiced and give you time to unwind totally. It's a good idea to cover up with a blanket for Savasana, as you'll be in the pose for at least 5 minutes to unwind after the class. After 5 to 10 minutes of relaxation, gradually become aware of your surroundings and gently wake the body up. Roll over onto your side and stay there for at least 30 seconds to allow the body to adjust before becoming upright. You'll notice that you feel a lot calmer and refreshed after a yoga session like the one you have just seen, and hopefully all the stress and tension you arrived with will have evaporated. Practicing yoga a few times a week will bring incredible benefits, and you'll soon find subtle changes will be influencing your outlook on life, as well as appreciating the immense physical rewards. Far too many of us neglect our bodies, and yoga is a wonderful way of releasing tension and bringing energy to the organs and muscles. Even if you don't have time to go to a class or practice at home, you can also try out a few simplified yoga moves just about anywhere, even at work, to revitalise you when you're feeling tired and achy. Begin by dropping your head and neck forwards and keeping the mouth a little open. Roll around to one shoulder and then towards the back. Before you get all the way to the back, turn to the same shoulder. Return to the front and do the same the other side. When you get to the front, allow your head and neck to relax for a moment. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, straighten up with the head and neck. Then straighten up with the arms, keeping the pelvis heavy. Take hold of one wrist, lengthen out, and then the other before releasing the arms. Roll the shoulders forwards and then the other way. Rotate the wrists one way and then the other. Place the index finger on the edge of your desk, keeping your wrists straight. Gently push into the desk and hold for a few breaths. Repeat with all the fingers except the thumb. Then slip off your shoes so that you can turn your attention to the feet. First, straighten out your legs, pointing and flexing the toes. Rotate the ankles one way and then the other. Although this exercise might seem like quite hard work, it's actually great for boosting the circulation. Now move forwards on your chair and breathe and straighten up, breathing out as you lean towards the right side. Take a breath in here, and as you breathe out, straighten up again before repeating on the other side. Once again, breathe in, straighten up, and as you breathe out, turn in to look at your right shoulder. If you have an armrest, you can place your hands on it. Take 1 or 2 breaths here, breathing in and growing taller as you inhale. As you exhale, return to face the front. Breathe in and straighten up. As you breathe out, release the head and the neck, then curl down, vertebrae by vertebrae, allowing the upper body to rest on the thighs if this feels comfortable. Release the back of the shoulders and allow the shoulders, head and the neck just to hang. Take a couple of breaths here. After breathing in, try and breathe out from the base of the spine. Curl up vertebrae by vertebrae before returning to an upright position. And that really is all you need to know to help you feel suitably refreshed at your desk and ready to carry on with your work. And even better news, you'll find that you'll also get an extra surge of energy to help you through the day, while avoiding the long-term damage that you can do to your body by sitting working at a computer for long periods of time. It isn't always possible to change your lifestyle, but with yoga, thankfully, you can often greatly improve the areas that give you problems. But don't imagine that yoga is only of value for solving problems, because useful as this might be, it truly is only half the story. And as we return to the beautiful lakeside where we started our program, we'll consider the sheer joy that yoga can help you to experience in all aspects of your life. One of the beauties of yoga is that after you've had a few lessons, you'll find you can develop your own routine and fit it into your day whenever it suits you best, using exercises learnt in class and from books, and of course from programs like this one. Following a short yoga routine first thing in the morning before going to work can be really invigorating. Or if you need to unwind at the end of the day, it can be an equally great way to relax. It's entirely up to you to design your own session that can be as active or relaxed as you like. And although you'll find various interpretations of something like the Salute to the Sun, which we've just been watching, how you execute it for yourself is for you to decide. The movements are beautiful and flowing, and the changes from one position to the next are performed quite quickly, unlike other poses in yoga that need to be held for the muscles to really benefit. The breath should be synchronized with the movements of the body to help the flow of energy, and as we take a closer look, you may recognize some of the exercises from the class you've just seen, compiled from such positions as the mountain pose and the dog posture. First, stand with palms in a prayer position, concentrating on your breathing with your eyes closed. When you're ready, let the arms fall either side of the body, then breathing in, lift the arms slowly until they touch above the head. Lift the chest and look up at the palms, stretching out the neck. Breathing out, bend the body forwards with arms stretched out either side. Stretch out the spine as you do this, bending from the hips. Bend the knees a little as you let the head fall and bring your hands to the floor, then straighten the legs. Breathing in, step back with the right leg and let the shin and knee rest on the floor. Lift your arms and looking up, touch your palms again. Without moving your right knee, move the left knee back. The knees should be hip width apart, and now lift the right knee and then the left to get into the table position. Breathing out, rest the knees and body back on the floor, keeping the pelvis raised. Relax the entire body to the ground and breathing in, lift the head and chest. Pressing the hands on the ground, push up and back into the dog posture, gradually straightening the legs. Step forward with the right foot and bend in the right knee. On an out breath, step forward with the left foot, bending the upper body over. Opening out the arms, gradually come up again and stretch the arms over the head. Finish by bringing the arms down and back into the prayer pose. After a few moments, repeat these 12 steps, but moving on the opposite side, bringing the left foot back. The whole body is given a wonderful stretch from the toes and the spine to the tips of the fingers, and as the name implies, the salute to the sun is a fabulous way to start the day. And once you've tried putting your own routines together, there'll be no stopping you. Here's another short routine that shows a different way in which the yoga positions can be used. Beginning by kneeling with knees apart, the next move is to rest on the ground with arms stretched out. This is a very calming pose, which is held a few moments before lifting up into the dog posture. Taking 2 steps towards the hands, straighten up the legs and stretch out the abdomen a few times before letting the head fall. Clasp the hands together before lifting the arms while breathing in, then lower the arms. Changing the position of the fingers, clasp the hands together again and lift them up and give them a really good stretch. Clasp the hands behind, pushing the shoulders back, and stretch out the arms behind you which is great for opening up the chest. Bend forward and stretch the arms up higher for a wonderfully invigorating feeling. Now, with the feet apart, lift the arms into the air and bend forwards and hold the pose. Then move to a sitting position. It's time for a few spinal twists, which are great when it comes to eliminating toxins. If you do this, as you breathe in, it's important to stretch up with the spine and press the buttock muscles down, and then each time when you breathe out, you can twist around a little further. And that's another perfect example of how to put a routine together demonstrated, which you can of course follow. But do give creating your own yoga sequences a try. You'll find it incredibly rewarding, and you can include all your favourite moves. Sadly, our time considering how to make yoga easy is drawing to a close. But once you've mastered the basics, you really do have a great deal to look forward to. This pose, requiring the support of a suitable tree, or if you're at home, a wall, will definitely only be possible with a lot of practice. But when you've been taught how, rest assured, it's nowhere near as tricky as it looks. Shoulder stands are actually an absolute delight, and you can, as you see here, put an entire yoga routine together working in this position. And although not recommended for you to try for yourself when you're just starting off, is without doubt something truly wonderful to aspire to. Taking a yoga class may only seem a very small step, but it will nonetheless lead you on a journey of discovery that can, quite literally, change your life for the better, if you'll let it.